Hi, this is Hal Marabel of Mad Invasion, and you're watching the This Is Metal show.
Hi, Hal, and welcome to the This Is Metal Show. Me and Tom Collier are really honored to have you on. You're coming all the way from Sweden. Just so people knows we're recording this. It's almost 6 p.m. where Hal is. It's 9 a.m. where I am, 12 in the afternoon where Tom is. I love this new technology. Now, let me ask you, Hal, as far as Band Invasion, how long has the band been around?
Well, the band actually started in the late 70s originally and went into the early 80s, but then it went into a hiatus and it took a new form in 2012. So that's when it really started, so to say. And it's Björn, who's the founder of the band, that put together a band again and looked for some new members to join. I joined in 2016.
Oh, wow. Okay, Tom, why don't you take it?
Sure. Well, I'm sure the big question everybody always asks you, how did Mikkey Dee become involved in this band? I mean, what a great drummer, what a great addition. I was really impressed to see him on there. Why don't you tell us how he came about?
Yeah, so our singer Pete is from a Swedish city called Gothenburg, which is the city that Mickey's from. So they knew each other from when they were youngsters, so to say, played hockey together and knew each other in the musical community. When we recorded the first album, which was recorded with another drummer, we were set out to do some videos. And we asked Pete, wouldn't it be cool? You're friends with Mickey from before. Give him a call and ask him if he wants to be a special guest in the videos. And we never thought that would happen, but he did, and he was actually game for it. So that's the way it started on the first album. Then the second album, it was a natural progression to ask him if he actually wanted to play on the album. We didn't think that either, but he agreed, and the album is better from it.
How many songs did he play on?
All of them,
Oh,
all of
he did the whole album.
yeah.
Nice. Excellent. Go ahead, Jason.
Okay, well, let's talk about some of the videos. One in particular that I really love was for the song "Master of Sorrow," and actually, I urge people, Hal, to go on your YouTube channel and watch all the band's videos because they are huge productions. To me, it's like something you would have seen on MTV back in the day. They are really like kind of mini movies, and I know that's exactly what a music video is. But my point is, it's almost like major film being made. That's what it looked like. So talk about, Master Sorrow in particular and about went into the making of that video.
Well, yeah, I mean, in general, I can say that we felt, as we did when we recorded the album, that we wanted to do it the old style, the old way, but in a new form. So it's always been about, trying to put some quality out there that we feel really comfortable standing behind and something for the fans to really dig into. So same with the videos. There's a visual and like a storyline and a visual theme going through it. So for Master of Sorrow, that is you could say that is the core of what the theme is all about. The Dark Lord and the fallen angel, who is the girl in all of our videos, being lured over to that dark side. So it has a more somber, sort of melancholic tone to it than many of the other songs. But we felt we wanted to slow it down and we wanted to make it a bit more dramatic, so to say, and a bit more into the pit, the darkness.
And I think you accomplished that with all the videos. And how what I really love about the videos is typically you'll watch a band and maybe it'll focus on, the cameraman will be focused on the lead singer and the lead guitarist. But I love the fact that everybody is featured throughout the video. The entire band is the featured artist, the featured star, if you will. Everybody gets their equal time.
Thanks. I appreciate that you noticed that because that was really important to us. We are a band and we want to present ourselves as a band. And even if there's a singer in front and all that, we're doing it as a team effort. So yeah, we wanted to visualize that as well.
And so Tom, my fellow co-host, he's a musician himself. He's a guitarist and principal songwriter for Held Hostage. I got to ask you, Tom, what do you think of the guitar playing throughout these songs?
Well, the first thing that caught me was it's like just a groove guitar. I love he had some really cool grooves in there and stuff. And it didn't all sound the same. It was very unique sounding. In fact, I was going to ask you, who are some of your influences on guitar?
Well, there's in general, but there's also then for the album and the way we sound as a band. And I would say if we go with the latter, and you probably can hear this through some of the riffs there, but of course, rhythm-wise, Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath, and a bit of Jimmy Page and Richie Blackmore, I would say, in there as well. That's sort of the essence of the guitar dynamics for the new album. But then, of course, we have other, there are other great guitar players that have inspired us over the years, for sure. But those are the ones that, are more connected to the approach on the album.
It's nice. Well, let's talk a little about what type of gear you use. Do you use pedals? What do you use? A straight amp? What are you using to record with? Not live. I'd like to know for the recording.
Yeah, yeah. So we have all the speakers stacked in a special guitar room, so we can really crank it. Because that's one thing we've felt that, with a lot of these recordings, it seems that they have the volume a bit turned down, and then they spread it in the mix. But we want to really to crank it and get that ambience of the room, etc. So that's the speaker room. Then we have the Marshall tops, so it's the legendary ones from 60s and 70s, actually, the old classic ones. And we run it through a guitar processor. And I can't remember the name of that one because it's Björn's, but that sort of adds a bit of a modern touch to the sound, and adds a bit of warmth and width. So that combination, we felt, and that's the same actually for the first album. We identified that sound quite early, and we just carried it through to the second album as well.
Nothing like vintage Marshalls. I have a 1972 and I have an 81. And that 72 I've played all over with. I've had that everywhere I go. I've called that around this country, around the world. But
They're
go ahead,
great.
Jason. Go ahead,
Okay,
Jason.
now I also want to let people know, in addition to playing guitar, you're also the keyboard player. And what I love about that, and a band such as Mad Invasion, is typically you'll hear people say keyboards suck, they don't belong in rock music, maybe just a pop band. I've never been one to believe that. So first of all, I was interested in, when you first started playing music, did you start out, playing the piano or the guitar?
It's always been the guitar. Piano has come, quite late in my life, and also with the technology that's available today, you can actually play guitar and get the same sounds. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not a great piano player, but I think keyboard, and I can project that into a recording. So it's all, all about working with the sounds, and having a vision for how you want to support the guitar, bass and drums, because it was always there to just back up the three piece, not to take over and to lead, right? So I think that's kind of where some feel that keyboard, might not have its places when it takes over and it starts to lead. But here's always been, background to support the
But that's what I
basics.
love about a band such as Mad Invasion, because even if you look at the great, late great Eddie Van Halen, he incorporated keyboards into his music, and I think it just shows that there's a place for it. If you like anything, if you use it right, and obviously you guys incorporate it into your music, and it fits. Now the other thing, me and Tom were very interested in, that we discussed before coming on air here, is like, how would you describe the band's sound? Because we both, before we even spoke to each other this morning, I first said, and he said, that's what I wrote down. It reminds us kind of like a metal slash rock opera. It's kind of got that big sound, if you will.
Yeah, but that's interesting. And from the start, we on the first album, we were thinking, we want to try to create our own sound. So we don't want to sound like anybody else. So we worked really hard on different parts of the instrumentation, and then putting it together. What we wanted was, you look at the drums, for instance, we wanted that to sound live. That was really important to us, and we wanted it to sound like a three piece. So the guitar, bass, and drums as a unit was really important. So that sort of worked itself out quite nicely and naturally, I think. But then we just, going further into the mix, and coming to the final stages. And so we felt that we think and feel that we have a sound that is, quite specific for us. And that has been always the ambition of trying to merge like the old vintage approach, but add a new sound to it. So we're saying, we jokingly in the beginning of the recording, we would joke around like, this is what Black Sabbath would sound like if they had the technology back then that we have now. That's kind of, the mindset we had, that we wanted to put ourselves into the classic rock genre, and how they were, playing and putting their music, forth, but put a modern touch to it.
I would say mission accomplished because exactly after checking out all the music videos from the latest album, that's exactly what I thought. This band has a unique sound that is all its own. Typically, when you hear a band for the first time, you might think these guys remind me of Motorhead, Metallica, whatever the case may be. But I listen to like they got their own unique sound, and the influences aren't even really bleeding out. You got your own unique sound. So with that, I'm going to throw it to my co-host Tom.
Sure. So I want to talk a little about a song in particular I liked, "Welcome to the Show," and the writing of that song, and I love that's what I call a groove song. I love the groove on the guitar and stuff like that. Who wrote that? Let's talk about the origins of how that song came about.
So I would say for all the songs, we have a set model for how the songs are written. Björn, who is the sort of other guitarist and leader of the band, he is the riff master. So he will come up with a guitar riff, and then we build around that. So that's where we come in and we add our touches to it. But the basics of it is just guitar and then just the vocals. So Pete will come into the studio and he will start writing lyrics and they will work on the vocal melody only with a guitar. And it's a bit special also with Pete because he doesn't want to have any effects on his vocals when he records it either. So it's always really, really dry, just a guitar and a click track. So that's how the base of the song is formed. And then they pass it along to me and I take it and I sort of crystallize and I start arranging and adding the sounds and a different instrumentation. So I would say that's the way that all the songs come about. They start with the riff, and that's Björn.
Nice. Well, let's talk about one other thing I want. The recording process. So there's different ways. I mean, I've recorded many albums myself. In fact, I'm doing another one right now. Some people record it. My last album I recorded live in a big studio. We all were in different rooms, drums, click tracks, headsets on, recorded like that. Came out great. One before that, recorded individually. I like the last one because it ended up 18 weeks on the Billboard charts. It just had this great feel to it. How did you guys record this? Did you record it individually, or did you record it live, or
We record individually, but I would have loved to be able to record it, like you say, all at once. But we have different timings where we're available. We have different sort of moods of flow. So for us, it suits quite well to, now Björn is in a groove. He's really riffing it out there. I take my laptop, I go down and we start recording, right? And then when I do my stuff and work with the totality and like the parallel production, then it's also important for me to be able to do that when I have time and I'm feeling a good flow. So it worked better for us that way, but it would have been nice to be able to say that we did it all at once.
Yep. Go ahead, Jason.
Another song I really liked is the title track. I was watching the video, and again, it's a mixture of, like you said, kind of these dramatic scenes that you guys do, and a live performance of a band. And I just love the live shots of the band. Really focused in on everybody. And again, another great great song. You want to talk a little bit about the making of the video for that?
Yeah, I mean, some of the, particularly a couple of last videos, they have clips from actually a live gig. So it is actually how we perform on stage. But the theme behind that is that we just wanted to, it's a title track, obviously. So we wanted to really communicate what the album and the theme is really about. And it is this doomsday kind of Stonehenge feeling where everything is cracking through the sky and it's really coming down on you. And how can we then fight that? How can we fight back? The band members are the champions of good, so we're trying to fight against the evil. But it's like everything coming together in that very like heavy, stone heavy way. And of course that worked great live. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and you know what I love about that, Hal, is the fact that when I was growing up, probably the same thing as you, that metal bands would obviously be referred to as the so-called bad guys, and it's the devil's music, you're evil and all this. But I love the aspect of the video you're just talking about, that the band is the heroes. The band's going to save the day.
Yeah, because everything is about the conflict between good and evil. And I think that's also, we don't get political or anything, but it does reflect, the polarization that's going on now. There's a lot of that, you take a stance either for or against. It's like good or evil. There's no in between, right? So that translates well into what we try to project, is that it has to be that dynamic. It's like the superhero. The superhero is not the superhero without the supervillain, right? And it's the dynamics and the ambience between the two that make it interesting.
Yeah.
Right. So we try to capture that.
And Tom, I believe you had a couple questions about the band's live performances and the future.
Yes, yes. Yep. So I was going to say, what, do you guys have any touring in the future? Have you played outside of Sweden? Excuse me.
So this is the discussions we're having right now. Obviously, it's a bit tricky with Mickey's schedule, and he's quite busy, and was working on some other projects as he's done. So that's something we're discussing at the moment to see how can we work around that and find something that fits with the calendar. Obviously, then an alternative to that is to have another drummer live, but we don't want to do that. I mean, we prefer not to do that because Mickey is such an important part of the sound and the songs that, particularly from the new album. So we would like to explore that avenue first. So that's discussions ongoing. See how we can solve that.
Where have you guys played at? Have you guys done any live shows outside of Sweden, or are you just mainly staying in Sweden?
Only in Sweden, so a couple of gigs in Sweden just to try out the material because also live, we'll actually publish um, one of the gigs that we did, the showcase, where we mixed both new and previous album, where we sort of tested it out. So that will be released after summer. But it's mostly been, testing. How's it playing with Mickey? How do these songs work? Do we need to adjust in the set, etc.? So now we're more ready to take the step out from that.
Nice. Go ahead, Jason.
Well, now you mentioned at the top interview how that the band actually was formed in the '70s. I was curious, had you released any material back then, or are there any of those? You have any recordings from that time period that fans could check out?
Unfortunately not, because then it was just Björn in the band, so it was completely different members, and the sound was very different. It was more, aligned with how music sounded at that point in time. I think it was more like the new wave of British metal kind of sound. But the way that I got into the band was that they actually, when they started forming again in 2016, they put out a single, and that one's available. That's the single called Hold On. So I'm not in that one, but I was asked to, contribute to production, and we started talking. I know Björn from ages back, but we have talked for many years about doing something together. So in that collaboration, working with that single and video, then we said, well, Björn said, well, how would you feel about being second guitarist in the band? I actually need some more guitars. And I said, yeah, let's try it out. So that's the way that came about. So officially 2016, and then obviously we started recording stuff in 2018.
And talking about your co-guitar player in the band, I mean, how do you guys go about working who plays what, and how would you say you guys work together?
So in this project, I have some other projects as well, but in this project, this Björn is the riff master, so he's the master guitar guru. So everything I do is to back up the riffs that we've sort of agreed on, and that's the base of the song, and then I find ways to either back that up or stick out from it. You'll hear parts of sticking out from it in Flesh and Blood, because then we work more like with a counter rhythm between the guitars. But otherwise, it's more backing up and adding a bit more like a musical layer flavor to his guitars.
Okay, Tom. Yeah.
Sure. So I'm sure everybody out there would like to know, we talked about your amps and stuff like that. What about your guitars? What kind of guitars are you using in the studio, and what are you using live?
Yeah, so it's been a lot about the old vintage guitars as well, because Björn is an avid guitar collector. So it is the Les Pauls from the 60s and 70s, it's the SG, it's the Flying V, etc. So we tend to work with those. I have other guitars as well, in my own collection, but for that particular type of music and that sound, we wanted to keep it vintage all throughout. So it's basically only the guitar processor that we add in the guitar sound that's modern. Otherwise, it's the old sort of speakers, amps, guitars, everything.
Well, I have 17 guitars, and here's a question everybody always asks me: what's your favorite guitar to play?
I don't know if if it's boring or the standard answer, but I actually love the Les Paul. I'm super happy with the Les Paul. I think it's super cool, and I think it's timeless.
I have an 86 Strat. I love it. I modified it. I play every show live with my red Strat, but like I say, I have 17. But go ahead, Jason. I'm sure you got a couple. We got
I
a
was
little
curious,
time left.
even though you're not an original member, do you know the story behind the band's name? Because I just love Mad Invasion for the simple fact that I think you guys could be the next big thing, as far as going to be one of those bands that probably a year from now, more and more people are going to start to hear about, especially if they go check out all those great music videos you guys have up.
That will be absolutely fabulous. The band name is I mean it's quite simple really. The mad part is that we don't want to do what we do like everyone else. We
Mhm.
want to stick out. If you need to add a bit of craziness or just doing it completely different, unexpected, then that's the mad part. And invasion is that, here we come. We have our sound, we have our approach, and we're gonna push through.
Wow, I
Make it
just love
amazing.
that. And now you also mentioned Black Sabbath quite a few times. I got to ask you, like, as far as the great riff master Tony Iommi, I mean, how do you go about doing this? But what are some of your all-time favorite Iommi riffs?
I mean, War Pigs, Iron Man. Um, There's some nice ones also that are a bit more mellow. I like Children of the Sea, which is a later song, but there are newer songs like Marabels and those kinds of, songs from those albums. But I like the old ones, the classic,
Yeah,
like I said, Iron Man, War Pigs, and
I mean, I was getting ready to ask you, do you have a preference between Ozzy and Dio? But I think like a lot of us, we just kind of love it all, right?
I'm partial to Ozzy just because I did follow Ozzy for many years when he left the band and went solo and all, had my Randy Rhoads period and all of that. So, and I think that's when it really became is if we talk guitar sound, I actually had a chance to see Ozzy's 81 tour in the US while Randy was still alive.
Wow.
And I've never ever heard a guitar sound like that live. Still to this day, I mean, it's friggin' incredible. So, taking that to the next level, just cranking everything and
Wow.
just going ballistic. I love
You
it.
know, Tom, I'm going to throw it back to you because I know what a diehard Randy fan you are. So you must have some questions for Hal about Randy.
I do, but the first question I have though is why don't we ask them where can people get your album at? Is it out? Is it released? Where can they buy it? Tell us a few outlets where they can get it.
Yeah, so it is on the major online stores, and it's on Amazon and some of the other ones there. And then they have the key ones in Europe, and I think also some specific countries like Norway, Finland, UK. But definitely Amazon, is everywhere. So sites like that, definitely they have it.
Is it CD and vinyl or just digital? How did you guys do this?
It's CD, but it is a digipack, so it's also there. We went all in. We wanted to do full quality, full booklet and fold outs and everything. So it's nice to hold and look at.
Absolutely. Well, here's my Randy Rhoads thing. I got to see Randy Rhoads in the United States too. I was supposed to see, and I was coming back to Syracuse. He was coming to Syracuse, New York. I had my tickets for that, and I left Florida. He got killed in the plane crash while I was leaving Florida. It was just crazy. And I
Yeah.
still, Brad Gillis played. It was like 3 days later. Brad Gillis from Night Ranger actually played the show, but I was disappointed. But I did get to see Randy Rhoads. I loved it. I seen him on the Blizzard of Oz tour, and I loved all his music. He's like one of my all-time favorites. Just
Same
a
here.
great. Yeah, for two albums, the guy was one of the most influential guitar players ever, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And vocals, Ronnie Dio grew up right up the street from me. I got to see him when I was 13 years old. I met Ronnie, and then you talk about Black Sabbath years. Vinny Appice, who replaced Bill Ward. I'm actually doing a show with Vinny next month here. He's got a band out called Sabbath
Oh,
Nights. Yeah, he does Sabbath and he does Dio, but he's still out there
cool.
playing. But those are just some
We
things I
do
just
what we
want.
can to keep that music still going, right? The classics.
Yep, I know Wendy Dio. I met her. I'm out to the Metal Hall of Fame each year. I play there every year. So I met some great people. She's still got his music going. It
You
just
gotta,
such an
you gotta slip an album in their hand then, or point it to the Spotify. It's like
yeah,
listen.
yep, there you go. Absolutely. So go ahead, Jason. I
And
think we're
I
getting out of
urge
time.
people to go out and buy this Mad Invasion album. It's called Crack in the Sky. And I went online myself on YouTube. I checked out all the songs. I got to say, you guys made an album like they did back in the 70s, a great classic album from top to bottom. There's not a stinker track on the entire thing. And it's well worth people's money to go out and buy it. I just want to say, too, before we wrap up the show, Hal, I totally agree with you. I'm an old school guy. I still buy CDs myself. And I love the fact that when I look at your CD cover, it's a great looking piece of artwork. Talk about that and who designed it, or you know.
I don't wanna put a damper on anybody's expectations, but I did it all.
Wow, in house.
I'm an old graphic designer also from the 80s, so it's good to be able to put some more skills to use in a project.
Oh wow. Hal, thanks for coming on the show. I'm going to let you wrap it up, Tom.
Sure, sure. So I just think that this was a really great album too. And what Jason said, we talked about that before. We couldn't find a bad song. I mean, I'm the president of a record label. This is the type of stuff that people are looking to hear. And I really think you guys are going to do
Thank you
something
so
with this.
much.
I'm very, very happy for you guys. I'm just going to end with an observation. I predict this thing's going to go very well for you guys. And I hope you guys will do well in the United States too. It's great music.
Thank you
Wish
so
the
much.
band the best of luck. And with Mikkey Dee, you're going to hit it too. I play with all those guys. I've never played with Mickey, but Ripper Owens is my singer, Joe Lynn Turner, all those guys, you know. I've been on
Wow.
tour with those guys. So this is some good music, man. You guys did a fantastic job. You should be proud of
Appreciate it.
yourselves.
Means a lot. Thanks so much. Thanks
Yep,
so
thank
much.
you. Okay, well, we'll wish you good night for now, but thank you. Jason, anything else before we go?
Just good night and get some rest, Al, because
Will
it's
do.
getting late where you are. Take care, my
Thank
friend.
you. Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Nice talking to you. Bye-bye.